what is sustainable designing or sustainable architecture for you?
Sustainability, in my perspective, uh, is about achieving the best balance, between very often contradictory demands. Whether it is from a cost perspective, whether it is from a technology and a usability perspective, or whether it is from a maintainability perspective. The best technology may not be the best maintainability, or the best maintainability may not be the most efficient technology, or the most efficient one may not be the cheapest one.
Today our guest is Mahesh Kalyan. He heads the project management office at Car Zeiss India. He is an engineer with years of experience in water treatment, environmental and industrial process automation.
We will go back to look at the Roman era roads. There are still those functional today. We're talking about thousands of years, and we're talking about our current technology roads that we keep relaying every monsoon. So it might be cheap to relay every monsoon, but we do it every monsoon. So the amount of money we spend on it over a long term is far higher. Have you done it right the first time?
Now, how can I make a design which can be relevant for a longer time?
The city master plans, right? When we are looking at these, are still not very openly discussed, or there is always this aspect of the real estate mafia and kind of things coming up. So where you're not very openly discussing very clear plans with defined timelines. The permission to expand in an area in most of the Western world is subject to the availability of utilities there. So here, unless they have taken care of the roads, the waterways, the drainage, the power, you don't have the provision of expanding anything doing there. I think that's what probably China has done quite well, in the sense that when you talk about infrastructure, right? When you say I want to develop an industrial city or industrial area, or so you need a space of the factories, you need a space of people to live in, you need facilities for both of them: transportation, power, water, wastewater, right? So we are kind of mushrooming and then trying to fix problems around it, rather than saying in a very structured way of saying this is what I will do, this is the area, and I will stick to it no matter what. But from a pure engineering technology perspective, we are having you have floodwaters in the Godavari every year. How do you put it to best use? We did some studies on the kind of metering they use for determining how much water flows from one state to another state in a river, for example.
Yes.
And this is a political topic. It's not a technical topic anymore in India. It's that chance. When India in the 50s, 60s had that freedom, we were able to build cities, right? We said build. We are a new nation then. We had a clear vision, and we said, okay, this is what we will do here. And I'm from Chennai, so areas like Annanagar in Chennai is one of the most planned, and it is sustaining today because of the size of the roads. If somebody in the 50s, 60s said we are having only 2 cars, the roads can be 40 feet, well, it's good enough, doesn't work today. So can it support a lot more? No. I think we are at the limit already now. Of density of people coming in, the traffic moving in and out. And to think that this area is like a pocket, right? We don't have too many interconnections going through it. It is, so it is like, you look at Horseshoe Road and it is like 2 lanes, either side of Horseshoe Road, and people don't go beyond that. The traffic comes in and goes out, right? So it is not designed to route through traffic.
Right. The bottlenecks.
And that is not part of the initial design envelope also, right?
Sustainable architecture, sustainable designing is what we'll be talking by and large, and we'll try to understand from you the perspective.
Right.
Maybe after listening to this podcast, as an individual, what I can change or make an effort to change in my life.
Right.
What as a community, comprehensively, like societies like this, as a society, as a community together, we can make small steps which can lead towards a more sustainable living.
Absolutely,
So from that perspective, what is sustainable designing or sustainable architecture for you?
It's a very broad topic, and the challenges that any designer has is to meet it's like a spider diagram with many parameters that we are trying to optimally meet. And sustainability, in my perspective, is about achieving the best balance between very often contradictory demands. Whether it is from a cost perspective, whether it is from a technology and a usability perspective, or whether it is from a maintainability perspective, right? So we need to make the optimum choice between these different parameters. And as a designer, of course, you are forced to make compromises, right? Because the best technology may not be the best maintainability, or the best maintainability may not be the most efficient technology, or the most efficient one may not be the cheapest one, right? So to strike the right balance, keeping the perspective of time in mind, Yeah, so that's the challenge any designer has. Yeah, so very often we try to define very simple, clear cornerstones, saying that we want to fix this specific aspect and work around that. Yeah, and invariably, you do have to compromise on certain features. It will be ideal world where we don't have those constraints for a designer. Yeah, unfortunately, the world works in a specific way. Procurement works in a specific way. Designing, the user also might have uh, very transient needs. They are pressed for time. So very often they say we want to get something done as soon as possible. So what's the best we can do within this time? Yeah. So those are the kind of stuff. Yeah.
So basically, the time frame,
Yeah. So
the cost involved, everything has to
absolutely.
be.
And on top of it, it's an environmental topic also, right? So
Yeah.
it's about using resources in the optimum way. Yeah. Whether it is energy, whether it is material, whether it is environmental impact. What can you do to optimize all of that? Yeah. End of the day, we take from the environment and we give back to the environment. And how do we make the right balance there?
Correct.
So those are the challenges any designer would have.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, if I like take it on a larger scale, so one is designing maybe a drainage system or a water system or even the roads.
Right.
So city planning is very important, and you have to when what I understand is when you're planning, you should not be, or the person should not be thinking of immediate output of that plan.
Right.
They should be thinking around 100 years
Yeah.
down the line.
I mean,
So what all things that an engineer should consider?
see, you can't blame the engineer because today the engineer is doing something that should have been done 20 years ago, right? Yeah, so for him, it is immediate, right? So you cannot just tell the engineer is doing the wrong job of thinking short term. Yeah, because he's trying to catch up with something. Yes, that's a different perspective, right? Yeah, but when you look at, I mean, we always keep saying, right? We want to be, we are we're not a developed nation, or we are on the way to develop, so we need to be careful about costs and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very often the cheap things become far more expensive over the long term. Yeah, you go back to look at the Roman era roads. Yeah, there are still those functional today. Yeah, we are talking about thousands of years, and we are talking about our current technology roads that we keep relaying every monsoon. So it might be cheap to relay every monsoon, but we do it every monsoon. So the amount of money we spend on it over a long term is far higher. Yeah, had you done it right the first time. Yeah, but again, doing it right the first time is just not about the road design or the construction. It's about the whole environment in which the road is. Right. So there is a usage. You are designing to certain parameters. Right. So so you're building the road for a specific traffic condition, for a specific density, and how valid are those assumptions, and how valid will they be in the next 5, 10, 20 years time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So the challenges that we have, I mean, going back historically, we always talk about let's say Roman roads, like what I bought about. But again, the amount of dynamic changes that they had to deal with probably was not as high as what we have today. Yeah, to do with urbanization, to do with mass migration of people, to do with the amount of heavy vehicles that we are seeing now, yeah, on these roads. So of course, those are the factors that we need to, that kind of make our life a little more difficult,
Right. Right.
in making roads that last 20, 30 years time. But then again, it's not impossible.
No, that's
Yeah.
true. But again, how can you predict? See, innovations, we are on a curve
Right.
where innovations across different technologies are happening at a very rapid pace.
Right.
Now, how can I make a design which can be relevant for a longer time? Is there any thought process behind it?
Uh, how shall I say? Now, when it comes to civil infrastructure, right? Buildings, roads, water infrastructure, these are all not things that would change in a jiffy, right? Unlike IT or unlike manufacturing technology, even there things have taken time to change. So the challenges here are more about uh, predicting how the future is going to be with respect to the demand that is placed. So again, it's about population. What is the nature of the purpose of this facility, right? What is it going to serve? And if that doesn't change much or doesn't modify too much over the period of time, then you can do a fairly good design and implement it, right? Now if you look at all our old designs from Indian designs from the era of 50s and 60s, when the nation building was happening, they had done such a good job, in making out very clear layouts. Look at every IIT or every government institute, so much of land is allocated for it, so much of greenery is there. They are looking at things, of course, the first few buildings they had put up was probably only occupying, a few 100,000 square foot. But then today, you got enough capacity to expand in that space and still not make a big dent on the environment around it.
Correct.
Yeah? So that's the kind of vision they had. Yeah. Unfortunately, today we don't seem to be having that. Yeah. We have to rediscover that frame of reference when we define the broader boundary of the project. Right. And that is how we make it future proof. Yeah.
Correct.
So you need to design some overcapacity. In which aspect do you want to put it in? Yeah. So there has to be some overcapacity, right? So do you want to make it in terms of the project's ability to handle a higher load, or a different kind of a load, or a more intense kind of a load? Yeah, those are the things that you have to design to. Yeah. So overcapacity, is we're designing to fit.
Yeah. No, agreed.
That's the challenge that we are having now.
I think no, challenges right now are
Yeah.
much more. So as you said, no,
And you need it. Yeah.
yeah. So in fact, in if you talk of Roman eras and that time, I think the primary concern was to build a quality
Yeah.
which will survive.
Correct.
But they were more or less certain that the dynamics of the society is not going to change rapidly.
That much. Yeah.
That was the only thing. So if you see Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, even all that has
Yeah.
demolished, the drainage system still remains.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but if you see present era,
Yeah.
I think this is more like a quick return sort of. And even we cannot, as you said rightly, I cannot blame engineers, I cannot blame the planners, not directly, but they have much more challenge compared to the previous time.
Sure.
Right.
And I think also the city master plans, right? When we are looking at these are still, not very openly discussed, or there is always this aspect of the real estate mafia and kind of things coming up. So where you're not very openly discussing very clear plans with defined timelines as to what is going to happen in this,
Yeah.
how the city is going to expand in the next 5-10 years time.
Yeah. Right.
And that is number one. Number two, the permission to expand in an area in most of the Western world is subject to the availability of utilities there. So
Yes.
here, unless they have taken care of the roads, the waterways, the drainage, the power, you don't have the provision of expanding anything doing there.
Correct.
Unless, of course, you want to go and put up a small, house for yourself in the middle of nowhere. That's a different situation.
Right.
Yeah. But you can't use that approach to build, 1,000 apartment society in the middle of nowhere and expects. Yeah. So that is where I think we have to do some drastic changes in the way in which we give our approvals for. Right. So we are expecting the roads to come, let's say the publicly funded infrastructure to come eventually, but the privately funded developments come much faster.
Yeah.
Right. So that causes the tensions. Right. So if you say if both will happen at the same time, well and good. Yeah. But it doesn't.
Correct.
Yeah, we know it doesn't.
Correct.
Yeah. So how do you make sure you speed up either the public construction, or you slow down the private development?
Yeah.
But private development slowing down hits the common man's pocket, because people are paying for infrastructure, paying for the flats. They have to, they need that to be ready.
No, the flip side is also there. On a if it is a private driven project,
Right.
then the timelines are met on time. The
Exactly.
delivery is faster.
Right.
That is also
For sure. Right.
positive side. Yeah. So now again, these days, I think the government mandate is more of a smart city development.
Right.
So in smart city, what all things from a planning perspective, as a sustainable development and keeping it for a longer time.
Yeah.
So what all things should a person or an engineer should keep in mind while developing it?
See, the smart city as a concept, it's common sense city. Yeah. So yeah, the way I see it is that you need to make sure the right things are in place.
Yes.
Right. And it's not, you have to find a way to accelerate to implement those. So we always talk about drinking water. Right. So you say, I need to have water, I need to find a way to supply water. But very often the wastewater part of it is neglected. So the more water you bring into a specific area, the more wastewater is going to be generated there.
Yeah.
How do you take it out? Yeah. So that is, again, that's, so for the fresh water, of course, people say we'll put a groundwater well, we'll dig it out and we'll take water. Then what do you do the wastewater? The more water you produce, the more wastewater you're going to produce also. It's a 1:1 ratio, right?
Right.
So how do you, take care of those things. Yeah? So the smart city project, whether it is from a traffic perspective, whether it is from water, wastewater, power supply, security, all these aspects, they are trying to, the idea is to have a comprehensive view of all of this. Yeah. That's the technology aspect of it. Yeah. That you want to be able to monitor, you want to be able to predict, you want to be able to, uh, keep a track of all these moving pieces of the infrastructure and make sure you are able to handle the contingencies, right? So that is security is of course another topic, yeah, where a lot of stuff is happening on the video side, on CCTV side. Yeah, but going back to the basic aspects of smart city, uh, let's go back to water again, right? So you are talking about supply of water, so how do you design supply of water to the smart city, into that area? So that depends on the usage of water. How many people are foreseen to be here
Right.
now in the next 5 years, in the 10 years? Yeah. So how do we make sure we can scale it up for that? Yeah. How do we evacuate the wastewater from those infrastructures? So again, what technologies do we put in there to make it sustainable? Let's go back to the whole water recycling topic, which we have mandated everywhere. No, yeah, in terms of effluent recycling of water. For, of course, that is one piece of the puzzle where you say I'm going to recycle the water from utilities for flushing purposes. Perfect. Yeah, but end of the day, you are still consuming fresh water.
Yep.
And you have to take out some amount of water. So you have water coming in, it does a little bit of recycle there, and then water has to go out again. Yeah. So where do you take out this water?
Yeah, it
Right.
goes.
Yeah. So if you didn't have this water recycling, you were probably bringing in 100% water. Now, once you are recycling water, that 100% became 50%. But 50% is still coming in.
Yes.
And the 50% has to find its way out.
Right.
Right. Are we designing for that?
Right.
Yeah. So somehow this recycling is a topic which is thought about from a simple water supply perspective. Fine, you're reducing your 100% to 50% demand, for example. But you are still not paying enough attention or to that balance 50% which has to go out. Yeah, which has to be just wastewater, which has to go out somewhere, right?
True.
In some form. Yeah, whether you use it for irrigation, and these days it is also, some areas they are also putting it back into the water. But again, there are issues there. Yeah, because when you have a chance of cross contamination with your groundwater supply,
Coming to that point,
then there are other biomagnification issues involved because you don't, clear the water
right,
sufficiently enough. So those are other aspects, yeah, which one needs to think about. Yeah.
No, coming to that point
Yeah.
only. So if you see in smart cities and urbanization is happening at a very faster rate.
Right.
Now, when I have lot of high rise buildings, societies coming, obviously the wastewater pressure or the deposition also is increasing.
Right.
Now, you have a STP water, right?
Right.
This water comes from a society, and then there are places where they are not disposed of properly. So
True.
it can also contaminate the groundwater,
Absolutely, yeah.
drinking water.
Yeah, sure. Because you are, where do you discharge it? You discharge for 100 meters away from your groundwater point. Yeah. So you try to, yeah, there is always a chance of, cross
Correct.
contamination.
So then, if this cross contamination happens,
Yeah.
obviously over a period of time, there will be health hazards happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, technology comes into play where you are kind of putting in more, filtration mechanisms. So today you are having simpler media filters. Tomorrow you say, okay, I got this problem in the water, this contaminant, I'll have to go in for a different level of treatment. So that goes into membrane technologies for ultrafiltration or reverse osmosis based systems. That's becoming more and more common. But those are all, I would, in my opinion, it is still short fixes. To the broader issue.
Yeah.
Of not handling the water infrastructure properly. Yeah, it all goes back to design of good pipes to supply water, and as simple as that. Yeah,
Okay.
and avoiding leaks in both the freshwater supply and in the wastewater supply.
But that again is like
Yeah.
not exactly we can put that under the headings of designing. I think maintenance also plays an important role there.
Absolutely, but it starts off with how you foresee things, right? Now, let's look at cities. Logically, you would have, of course, a water supply line. You would have a wastewater sewage line. Then you have stormwater drains, right, where you take away excess rainwater from. So, how strict is the discipline in ensuring they are all different containments and there is no cross contamination? We keep hearing stories again and again and again of bad quality water entering the drinking water lines.
Yes.
But that's again an easier problem to solve. But the stormwater drain and sewage networks cross contamination is a far more complicated problem to solve. Yeah, because
Can you explain that little bit?
simple. Okay, so you got wastewater.
Mm.
It's the water that comes out of your uh, flush in the sewer, right? And you have a treatment plant typically within a society, and then you discharge some of the water out. So very often it is treated sewage water. They call it treated effluent. So that is supposed to be fairly good water. There are pollution control norms which specify what can be the kind of contaminants that is allowed to be in the water, and that water you can do discharge. Okay, uh, into a uh, into into a, let's say, um, grounds for soil to take it in. So if your quality of treatment is very good, then it is fairly safe. Yeah, by today's standards. There are other new contaminants coming up which are still yet unsolved. But let's assume for the moment today's environmental conditions, today's regulations, and today's treatment technologies. Now, when you have rain, yeah, so and if the rainwater enters into the sewer network, so if you don't have a proper segregation of these, yeah, so what happens is that suddenly you have a lot of water coming into your sewage treatment plant. Yeah, volumes of water go up.
Yes.
Right, and then the plant is no longer efficient in treating that kind of volumes.
Yeah.
Right, so and it takes days, sometimes weeks, for the STP to come back normal because a lot of bacteria gets washed away in the water, and the STP takes much longer time to recover its full treatment capacity. Even if the rains have stopped, it takes a week for even a good operator to stabilize his STP if there is this kind of cross contamination. And we're talking about this in scale. We're talking about not just small apartment, talking about citywide STPs also, which is handling population equivalents of to 1 million people or 500,000 people. That kind of STPs also have the same problem. Yeah, because if it rains, you got water coming into the STP, right, through the collection network. So that has a set of design problems to taken care of, right? Because it has got a cascading effect on the plant's performance. Now, so when you look at this simple process of segregating, stormwater or rainwater, sewer water, and fresh water. Now, if you are doing a good job in the stormwater business and making sure that water is taken away somewhere else, then you have a good chance to work on rainwater harvesting. Taking the water somewhere uphill,
Yeah.
so you can store it better rather than letting it go into the sea or into the nature. So that's good quality water. Rainwater is good water, right? So if you allow it to come into the sewer network, you're wasting it. Number one, you're causing a second degree problem in the STPs also. So those are the issues that your city planner has to deal with. Yeah. So when you are having roads constructed, yeah, you got these facilities also going, infrastructure under the road, beside the road, whatever, and ever so often, there are diversions, there are temporary diversions happening. Flow, dump it here, we'll figure it out later. It goes into the STP. Let them figure it. Let them find out what to do. So those are the kind of things that are, I think, unfortunately happens far too often in our cities. That causes a cascading set of
Correct.
challenges for
And then to
various.
rectify that also, there is another measure, and the cost is involved in that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, yeah. So if this happens in an let's say in a not so controlled way, then the next STP the city will say, I want to create a public infrastructure. They have a different design envelope. So they say, okay, let's go back to this topic of water and wastewater. So water and wastewater is very, very, very simple to predict. You got people, they consume so much of water per day,
Right.
they discharge so much of wastewater per day. So whatever happens, it is not going to go up by a factor of 10%. You cannot drink more than what you drink water per day.
So that can be calculated.
Yeah, calculated, and it is a very small variation is possible on that. Yeah, not more. Very simple. So if you say I have got this, I can very easily design a very good system for that.
Correct.
Yeah, but then if you say once in a week I'm going to have this kind of variation coming on it, yet you have to guarantee a good quality of treated water going out, because that is what you're designing the plant for. Right. You're putting a plant to make sure the water that comes out of it is complying to the environmental norms. Yeah. So minute the designer has said, okay, once in a while you'll have rainwater coming in, then he has to decide what to do. How does he design the plant? Because the design envelope suddenly becomes, very odd in one parameter.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So all the things.
And then we are trying to fix that problem. Yeah, with a patchwork on a design where the reality is we should have fixed it in a different way.
No, just if we can bring a parity. So because if I went to Rajasthan, you have this step wells, right? And it's an architectural masterpiece. So even on top of hills also you see step wells are there, and then that is throughout the year on top of a hill you have managed to put some water which is as good as equivalently you can drink it for your day-to-day life. Now that is something which is the masterpiece, or which is the architectural expertise they had back those days. But if we see here now at present time, obviously there are places like, for example, cities which was once considered to be very like smartly designed, but just one monsoon and the entire reality is out. So how does that happen?
Okay, so let's go back when you talk about these step wells.
Hmm.
So India is blessed with a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the luxury with a lot of countries simply can't imagine.
Yeah.
Right. So how well do we make use of it? Yeah. So when you go back to the uh, uh, design parameters our forefathers would have had in these areas, is of course to make sure that that water is captured and it is retained and available for the summer months when you don't have rain. So you're looking at calculating what kind of storage capacity you want, what is going to be your utilization of water. Yeah. So when you look at the step well calculations, I'm pretty sure when you go back into the mathematics of it,
Hmm.
it will go back into sustaining 1 or 2 summers of drought,
Yes.
right? Which is what they are trying to contain, and of course rate of evaporation. But the thing is, the mechanism for collecting water and storing water and making sure those are not upset. Yeah. So I mean, you can't change nature. So you got some certain amount of rain coming in. This is your catchment area. That is clear. Yeah. And you are funding the water into a storage system, and you design a storage system where people can access it. As the water level goes down, you want to be able to get down to it and come up. Right. So that's why you have these mechanisms of step. And of course, they made it very beautiful. Yeah, so that's
Absolutely.
that's the other aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is not just functional; it is also very beautiful. Right.
True. True.
So that has been, and those design parameters haven't changed. Right. In a sense that in those areas, the populations have not shot up like crazy. Yeah, we will not have a huge shift in the consumption of water pattern. Yeah, those things are charismatic and they have managed to survive. Now, in modern India, of course, you got a lot of other challenges. So cities are growing at an accelerating pace. So how can we templatize a particular development, right? So when you say I want to have this kind of a capacity, I think that's what probably China has done quite well, in a sense that when you talk about infrastructure, right? When you say I want to develop an industrial city or industrial area, or so you need a space for the factories, you need a space for people to live in, you need facilities for both of them: transportation, power, water, wastewater. Yeah, and you have a model that you can replicate again and again and again. We're not defining something specific for this use case which you cannot apply anywhere else. Right. So the design becomes simpler. The whole execution becomes simpler because you get more and more efficient with time when you have that kind of an approach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's the way they are handling it. Yeah. So now, when we are looking at our current day um, uh, construction and the way we are going about our projects, it's always catching up. Right. Infrastructure is always catching up, and we are doing it in a situation where things are already happening there. Right. So if you look at, I want to develop an industrial area, you got an empty plot of land, go ahead and construct. That's one approach, right? But now we say, no, there are already 100 factories in this area. Now we figure out how to lay good roads here, and try to find out how to route the water and the effluent systems there, and where will you put in your effluent treatment plant in this industrial layout. It's a different league of challenge, right?
True.
So it's to do with the way we develop our cities. Yeah. So we are kind of mushrooming and then trying to fix problems around it, rather than saying, in a very structured way of saying, this is what I will do, this is the area, and I will stick to it no matter what. Yeah, because it's that long-term vision of saying that, okay, I have a plan for the next 15-20 years for this area, and that is what we will do. Yeah, period.
That's
Right.
I think one way what the smart city concept is like, one, I have done it.
Yeah.
Let's replicate in other places
Right.
and then see the efficacy of
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you, of course, the whole, it's also about feedback, right? Monitoring and feedback. So minute you are able to get feedback from the utilities on the status of things, then you of course can react much better and faster, right? So technology in smart city is more from that perspective, where you say, I want to monitor all my water networks, I want to monitor wastewater networks, lifting stations, pump stations, sewer networks, drainage systems, power systems, traffic. So minute you are able to get in data from all these, then you can gain insights which will help you to be much more quicker in reacting to situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also have today ability to simulate things. What happens if this happens in this network? How will the rest of the network behave? Whether it is power or water or wastewater or traffic. Yeah, then you can run your simulations.
Correct.
And then come up with good ideas on deciding what to do next. So I think that's the aspect of smart city which would be interesting to watch as the next years when you are planning expansions or
Correct.
changes in a city.
Correct. I think one part is also, if you see in a larger scale, is dams and reservoirs. They're also a part of managing that only with
Oh,
the
sure, yeah,
river water.
right.
Doing it.
No, I think India has done some, you know, I mean, there are, of course, from an engineering perspective, I speak as an engineer, where some of the projects are the biggest in the world we've done, like this Kalishwaram lift irrigation project in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. It's fantastic. That's, again, there are, of course, a lot of other concerns, from, uh, environmental impact, political issues, corruption, and blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of other issues there. But from a pure engineering technology perspective, you're having, you have floodwaters in the Godavari every year. How do you put it to best use? Right? As simple as that. And yeah, there is need for water everywhere. So can we find a mechanism to lift the water, bring it to other areas, which they have done. Yeah. And some of the world's biggest motors are there, sheer capacity wise. So there are stuff that we are capable of doing. Yeah. We need to be a little more conscious of the bigger picture and make sure we uh, do justice to the, the challenge.
Agreed.
As simple as that.
But I think what we always hear is, if at all in future, one resource which is of most important, and that is water. And there would be, like, maybe there might be a huge war over happening. And you can see already in bits and pieces.
Wars are already happening world over.
Yes. Already, with our neighbors also, we are having more or less something. So even in the same Ganga, which is flowing from India to Bangladesh, that treaty is also going to over next year. So that is also something we need to watch out for.
Talking about this, the resources which run across countries, right? Or even states for us. For us, each state is like a country, population in India, right? So how well are we deploying technologies there? Yeah, I think we can do a lot more there as a nation, right? We did some studies on the kind of metering they use for determining how much water flows from one state to another state in a river, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is a political topic. Yeah, it's not a technical topic anymore in India, because each state says I want to get through, and the technology they're using to estimate the water flows are ancient. We're talking about things which are 100 years old, 150 years old. Some sluice dams and markings on the gratings and that kind of stuff. Where I'm not saying they're bad. They are good, but they can do a lot more today. You have to wait for 1 hour before you can estimate how much water is flowing. Yeah, you can have a live technology for estimating that right now. This is such a sensitive topic. Yeah, the truth damages one side or the other in terms of how much water flows from A to B. Yeah, so people resort to going back to whatever was done previously, and they stick with that, and they don't question it. The reality could be something.
I think that's the easiest way to take.
Yeah, you are talking about maybe a 20-30% error in measurement.
Isn't that huge?
Yeah, it is huge. Yeah, so, and then somebody is doing a design downstream based on this input value. Yeah, right.
Okay, so then obviously that design is something to be questioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true. So we have not. Yeah, that's what. So all the parameters you see, they're all connected to some or other ways. It's that we are working on small pockets and we're not seeing the larger picture.
Sure.
Right.
So when I was a young engineer and we are looking at instrumentation business, and somebody was talking about accuracy of pressure measurement, those days instruments used to be from, I think, 1% they went to 0.1% and then to 0.05% of accuracy measurement. Why would you need all this kind of stuff? Yeah. But why do you want to have such accurate measurements? But again, when you say that I'm going to use this value, is going to determine a lot of other things. The more accurate I'm on this, the better the design can be and the functioning can be downstream of it.
Yes.
Because at every level of conversion, there is some error creeping in. Right. So if you can make the initial value very accurate, then all those subsequent things will have a lesser impact. Yeah. So if,
That then if we see when we're talking of this line, a little bit deviated from the main topic maybe, but when you're talking like if you see Singapore,
yeah,
if you see Tokyo, or for example, heavily dense New York,
right,
right? So what, like from Indian cities and Indian perspectives and their perspectives, was like no, I'm talking of when the entire nation was building,
right,
and then although we are in a state where India is still developing, and then a lot of infrastructure is going happening
right.
at a much faster pace compared to all this
Mhm.
other countries or cities I'm talking about. Now, that what they did different, what we could have learned from them and done it differently, maybe something we missed
See,
it.
I mean, very simple, right? If you go back to the stories about the London sewer system,
Mhm.
the guy, I don't remember his name, but it's on the web, you can read about it. The person who defined the size of the sewer chambers,
Mm.
yeah, uh, he, I think, designed it for 2 or 3 times the capacity which was given to him, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So, and that has laid such a fantastic foundation for London's growth, because they could manage, you know, the growth without having to change anything on the network, on the collection system. So the ability to think ahead and plan for the future, right? I think that is the fundamental one that we are kind of losing track of. Our
Mm.
we are not thinking what will be the need in 20-30 years time in a city. We lay a road, yeah. What should this road carry in the next 20 or 30 years time? We just not. We are,
True.
yeah,
Right.
as simple as that. Yeah. So every big city, if you look at America, is very clear. The development of a place follows the public infrastructure. It is contingent on infrastructure being available there. So without public infrastructure, development doesn't start.
Yeah.
So a developer comes to a place to say, I arrange a new layout once there is power, water, drainage, everything there. Yeah. So that's the fundamental shift, right? Where the government assures this area, this is for development, we do this, and then you can develop in that area. So we go by the inverted mechanism.
Yeah.
We develop first and then figure out how to lay the roads there. Yeah,
Yeah,
between
that's true.
properties, right?
Yeah.
And that's I think we lost that chance when we India in the 50s 60s had the freedom. We were able to build cities, right? We
Correct.
said build.
Correct.
We are a new nation then.
Yeah.
We had a clear vision, and we said, okay, this is what we will do here. And you know, if I'm from Chennai, so areas like Annanagar in Chennai is one of the most planned, and it is sustaining today because of the size of the roads. If somebody in the 50s 60s said we are having only 2 cars, the roads can be 40 feet, why that's good enough? Doesn't work today. So, right? So somewhere we have to take that leap of faith and saying that this is what we will do, and this is what I think growth will follow.
Yeah.
The minute infrastructure is there, growth will follow. As simple as that.
I agree. And
Yeah.
that is where you see new institutes and academic institutions, they are coming in places which was like almost in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But as the infrastructure is there, the lab
Right.
facilities and everything, people
Right.
are following there, right?
Sure.
But then coming to a very striking thing is like, if you see the roads in Electronic City, Bangalore,
Yeah.
they are not very old and they are not designed very, like almost like not 40-50 years
Yeah.
ago. They were designed much recently. But still, if you see the road and then the space of the pavement and all,
Right.
I don't see much space to breathe around or to drive around.
Yeah. But I think it was it was like it was a quasi private kind of a development, right? Electronic City was kind of uh, it was foreseen for a specific purpose,
Yeah.
for a very I think that it has fulfilled quite well, in the sense that it has spurred Bangalore's growth,
Yeah.
right? Now and look at the rest of Bangalore.
Hey,
True. So I think the amount of load that this area is taking, Electronic City is taking, is pretty impressive.
yes,
And
I think it is taking for the entire city.
yeah, so that way I think the planners, yeah, it could have been done much better. Yeah, sure. We could have added one more lane, it would have made much bigger. Yeah. But I think they had they had foreseen a certain development, a certain budget, and deployed it,
Yeah.
which I think happened pretty well, admirably.
Right.
Yeah. That has laid a foundation. But now can it support a lot more? No. I think we are at the limit already now.
Right.
Yeah. Of density of people coming in, the traffic moving in and out.
Correct.
And to think that we are this area is like a pocket, right? we don't have too many interconnections going through it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is, so it is like, if you look at Hosu Road, and it is like two lungs on either side of Hosu Road, and people don't go beyond that. The traffic comes in and goes out, comes in and goes out, right? So it is not designed to route through traffic,
Right.
right? It's not designed there. And now if we are trying to use this as a bridge to reach other pockets of the city,
Yeah,
then
then obviously there will be a bottlenecks.
still be, and that is not part of the initial design
Correct.
envelope also,
Correct.
right? You can't blame this for that.
Right, absolutely. We're taken. So, yeah, even recently, you had this Kumbh Mela and all in Prayagraj, right?
Right.
And that time, the people, when the administration, they realized, okay, we were designing Prayagraj to address the requirements of the people who are residing there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But all of a sudden, because of one event,
Yeah.
you see the population load has gone almost like
I don't know, tenfold or something. Even more.
well, more than
Yeah.
that, more than that. So then they realize some new problems. New problem is simple, is like the water system.
Sure. Yeah.
So there was scarcity of water, the drainage systems all flagged, and even the traffic. So I was fortunate to go this
Okay.
year, and then I had to walk a good 10-12 kilometers one side across the city. Traffic was terrible,
Okay.
right? So that is where comes because this is one event,
Right.
right? And because of that event, something happened which they have not thought
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
designing,
Right.
and then they are not prepared to address this
Yes.
particular challenge.
So next year they'll be better prepared. Yeah, they have
That's what.
experience, and that comes out of it. And I think it's important is for us to retain that knowledge,
That's what.
right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
use it in the next. That's how we learn, and as long as we can retain that,
Correct.
perfect. And I think in spite of all that, it has been a fantastic success story in terms of
Absolutely.
managing the crowds, managing the infrastructure there.
Yes.
Yeah, creating so much temporary
No,
stuff, and also dismantling.
Administration, because I personally visited this time and I saw the experience was very, very nice and very welcoming. See, one thing is the behavior of the people, and that is very subject to people and the crowd, right? But the way government and everybody made an arrangement, anticipating the crowd, that their planning, I give a full marks for that.
Sure.
So that is something.
No, we are capable of it. Right? That's
That is-
proud as a nation that we can
Correct.
handle this.
Correct. So then again, coming back to question,
Right.
we are capable to take challenges, and the challenges are something which are very unique if you see the rest of the globe.
Right.
So when we are ready to take up challenges of such high score, but still our basic problems at times we are not able to manage.
Right.
So that is something. No, again, references like coming back to Bangalore. Bangalore is obviously known as a city of lakes.
Right.
But as gradually we see the number of lakes in the count, I think that recently it has, I think less than 150 lakes are left
Nice.
in Bangalore, right?
Yes.
So what long-term problem might happen because of this, and what designing, like as urbanization is happening. So
Right.
can I sustain a lake, and at the same time urbanization can happen? In the design, can I do something?
It's a tough challenge, right? See, Bangalore, first of all, is in a higher elevation, right?
Mm.
So the lakes have to be fed with water. They are
Yeah.
catchment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So of course you got good rains, but if you're going to let the water slip away, drain away to the lower altitudes, then you lose the water, right? So the issue is not so much about. I mean, you need first of all square meters for the lake to exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Physical
That's first
space.
step. Physical space, right?
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Correct.
Then the next bit comes in how to fill it up and how to make sure it is fresh, how to make sure the water isn't getting contaminated. You don't have all these water hyacinth problems and other kind of algal issues coming up. So
Yes.
that's the next challenge we have, right? But uh, the way I look at Bangalore today is we are working a lot in the supply of water with the Kaveri phase 5 coming up, multiple pipelines bringing in water into the city. Bangalore has been one of the pioneers in wastewater treatment. They had one of the first actually membrane-based treatment plants in India. I'm talking about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So they had done some pioneering work. I think they continue to do a lot of work on sewage treatment and making sure the water is, and then the treated water is also being deployed in farms outside the city, goes all the way to Kolar and all that. So they have done some good work in managing the wastewater. Now the lake problem is more of a city planning problem than a utility issue. Yeah, so it's to make sure the lakes are fed only with rainwater and no sewage is diverted there. it's how the city municipality works, right? And that's as things stand. Uh, there are tough challenges because I see them. First of all, the lake acreage has reduced so much. Yeah. So we have 1/3 of what was there 20 years ago left. We have limited space now,
Correct.
and I think Bangalore has to do the best with what they have and make sure that is conserved.
So, sir, in Bangalore, what I understand is because of the lakes, the catchment area was higher, and then more water was there's rainwater
Right.
harvesting was done. So now new builders, especially, they are like marketing. Like for example, Tata True Value Homes or some. I saw there was some marketing strategies like we do rainwater harvesting. And that is what other builders are not doing, so let's do it. But I think that has become a very essential feature now.
No, it is very critical that rainwater is captured and harvested, because letting it run off uh, is a crime, in my opinion. Yeah, because to produce one glass of fresh water, it needs so much of uh, uh, you need so much water to produce one glass of fresh water. Yeah. So if you look at the virtual water footprint, right? Uh, you look at a banana, it is something like, I don't know, 150 liters to produce one banana, yeah, or an apple. Yeah. You talk about now bioethanol.
Yeah.
Bioethanol, you require 2000 liters of water for 1 liter of bioethanol, right?
Yeah.
So that water has to come from somewhere.
True.
Yeah. So it is essential that we need to make sure the rainwater is put to good use. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, when you do a good job with rainwater harvesting, you actually improve the water quality over a period of time, because rainwater is more or less zero total dissolved solids, TDS.
Correct.
And if you're able to push it into water, into the ground, your groundwater today is 600, but over a period of 5-10 years time, it will come down because it gets fresh water for recharging it. Yeah. So you really improve the groundwater quality over a period of time, as compared to other situation where you kind of let it run off, and even if you continue to take out water, extract water from the aquifers, over a period of time your salinity is going to go up.
Yeah.
So coastal cities, very critical. Yeah. Any, like Chennai, for example, has been always water scarce, and it is just because rainwater harvesting city is able to survive now. Yeah, because when during the Jayalalitha period, this was made as a mandate that every development, every house should have rainwater pits. And in the society that I stayed in, we did some. There were initial rainwater pits, which are part of the initial construction, and then we added 20 more. Yeah, and that really helped us. Multiple summers. Yeah, I think that's very simple. It's a very cheap technology to do, and everybody should do. Yeah, and there are factories in Chennai which have more or less eliminated water, taking water from public infrastructure purely by rainwater harvesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So there are some best practices. Chennai can teach the rest of the nation on how to manage water.
Yes.
Infrastructure in Chennai.
Absolutely.
There are and it's common sense, actually. It's nothing dramatic, nothing high tech.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's simple containment. Make sure you don't let waters mix. As simple as that.
No, that is where you see here, there are cities which, like for example, some cities in Rajasthan, all of a sudden we knew it was meant to be dry, and then scarcity of water was a common. All of a sudden you come to know that there's a flood there.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Right.
So this is something which is like unexpected things keeps happening.
So there are, okay, I mean, we are having climate change issues, extreme weathers, and that's happening. The causes can be debated. Yeah, but this is reality now, right? So you are having these situations coming up, and how well can you foresee or design to those extremes? Yeah. So earlier you used to have a situation like this 100-year floodwater mark. Yeah, used to be one marker that any developer needs to be aware of before he starts digging a hole in the ground to build something, right? What was the flood level mark here? So how discipline, how well are we tracking those things? Yeah, is one issue. Are we? Yeah, I don't see people paying too much attention to that topic these days. The next bit of it is, of course, to do with how we lay the roads and relay the roads. We know that when you relay a road, you remove the top 3 inches and put back 3 inches of soil, but we don't remove the top 3 inches, we put back 3 inches on top of it, so it becomes now 6.
Correct.
And then you of course have water flowing off from that elevated into the property alongside the roads. Yeah. So this, all these are micro problems, yeah, in the larger scheme of things. Yeah. But the eventual thing is flooding. Yeah.
Correct.
So if you are going to be having this kind of development of city network going into roads and into properties, then yeah, for sure you're going to have even a small rain will have a flood. You don't have to wait for an extreme event for a flood.
Correct.
You know, a 10 centimeter rain in a day can cause a flood.
Right.
It's nothing, nothing. But
That's what you're saying also. Yeah.
so it's not as though we have it only due to extreme weathers. Extreme weather, of course, is the next level, right? But I think what we are seeing as extreme events is just normal events, normal environmental conditions being applied to badly developed, constructions and developed, developments. That's the way I see it.
Right.
Because it quickly fails. Yeah.
Now, when you're talking of again, bad environmental conditions, I think recently we are seeing because of excess rainfall in the northern parts of India, we had a lot of like cloud bursts
Sure.
event, right? So now again, from an engineer, I think it is much more challenging to design anything starting from a bridge or any houses near the river banks.
For
Correct.
sure. Yeah.
So now river is something which I understand is it changes its course in due time, and then because of heavy rainfall, that what you saw recently, there was like a disaster happening. So from an engineer perspective, again, I want to understand, like, I think it is not a normal design anymore, but when you have a river or something so dynamic there,
Right.
you have to think a step ahead, and what that would be.
Right. See, not an easy challenge because your design envelope is very fuzzy.
Yeah.
So
And I think most of the parameters are, some of the parameters are not even known.
Yeah.
So you have to assume that this might happen,
correct.
and then I have to be prepared for
Right.
that.
So simple, erosion rates, what is the velocity of river water flowing through? What is the kind of contaminants in the water? What is the erosion rate it is going to have? What kind of material can you put in the foundation for that? It starts some basics there. Yeah. Then going back to, the thumb rule used to be from a civil design perspective, these flood marks, right? So what are you trying to protect against? Yeah, you're building a shelter, right? So you're protecting against rains, you're protecting against floods, you're protecting against fire, you're protecting against wind and cold, right? So that is the shelter.
Who is the enemy?
Right. So it's not an easy challenge, but again, one has to question, what is the purpose? Why do people want to go and stay so close to the river?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to come back and you say, sometimes the design is all about questioning, why do you do it? Why? And you ask 3-4 whys, then you kind of get a better understanding of what you're trying to do there. Yeah. So next thing is, why do you want to have a permanent facility on the river bank?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the next question you want to have. Yeah. So, and then you say, okay, if it is going to be permanent facility, then I have to be prepared for eventualities. The eventuality may not be just designing for that. It might be designing evacuation measures. Yeah, how do I bring people safely out? I know the building will get destroyed, but how do I ensure I make a mechanism to keep people safe or bring them out safely? That also is a part of the design.
Right.
Right? You're not trying to make sure that yours is the only sole building standing in the middle of the floodwaters. That's right.
Not that.
It could be anything else also, right?
Yes.
So that is when you start questioning, why? So if you say, okay, this is excellent property for development, I want a river, I want that natural feel. Yeah. And how safe is it to build a permanent infrastructure there? So then what can it be? Yeah. Should it be a house? Should it be a resort? Should it be XYZ kind of building?
Correct.
And then you come from there.
Yeah.
So not an easy answer, but the why, why do you want to move and stay close? But again, rivers are, especially on those areas, you've got very high velocities. These are all very high mountain peaks, and the water melt. It's a gushing river.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a placid meandering river.
No.
Right. So obviously, why would you want to? If you want to build a bridge there, yeah, sure. We want to build bridges to make sure people can cross over. We need connectivity. Understood. And there, I think you build for extreme conditions. As simple as that. You'll have to think about what worst can go wrong and add a few more beyond that and do your design. Yeah, because it is extreme conditions. But then that's a different league of construction. It is not general infrastructure you're designing, right? So
No, yeah, right. You're absolutely right.
these are all earthquake, tectonically active, seismologically active areas.
Mm,
You have all kind of scenarios happening there.
correct,
Right.
correct.
And the other thing is, again, the mechanisms for warning, right? How quickly can you get warnings for doing certain things, right? So
Okay, so
if you have a bridge, for example,
Mhm.
yeah, you don't want to train on it when it is extreme conditions,
Right.
right? So at what point do you decide to close, right? That is also part of the design, right? You cannot say that, okay, I am building it for these conditions. Okay, up to a certain level, I can still allow traffic to go over the bridge, but at some point in time, I would want to stop it. True. To save human lives. Yeah. So that is also part of the.
Yeah, but in
design.
India, you have the half bridge done,
Yeah.
and then that car goes in nowhere. That also happens, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, you've seen that tragic story.
Unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's again to do with, I think, you know, uh, how we communicate, right? How we communicate as a society, as a nation. Uh, we are a very mixed culture nation, right? So there's a lot of history to us. Uh, at the same time, um, there is a lot of uh, mixing of people also. So if you look at, okay, let me give an example. So when you and I are from the same culture, from the same language, with the same tradition, we communicate in a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So my head nod might mean something to you. I don't even have to say something. You understand what I mean.
Correct.
Right? Now, when we have these kind of, with a lot of social, economic migration, people going all over the nation, there's a lot of population mixing, right? So the guy who writes a road sign in one part of India might be addressing the road sign for his people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whereas a guy from a different state would not understand it. Yeah. So how can we, communicate in a very simplistic, unambiguous way to a population with whom we don't have much connect with. So we agree, we're all Indians, perfect. Yeah. So, but if you say I want to communicate something to a German, you would communicate in a different way.
Right, absolutely.
Now, when you want to communicate to an Indian, yeah, that Indian is as different to you as a German is, but we don't give the other Indian that level of importance, or that level of importance, that communication nature. Right? We communicate the way we want to. Yeah, because it's,
And we expect that the
Yeah.
other person will understand.
it, right? And that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's to do with road signs, or with, I don't know. There's so many, any public communication, right? Whether it is this stampede at the railway station,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So these are all to do with how we are able to put ourselves in the shoes of the person listening to us. Yeah, and are we? I think that's where India can improve a lot. India has to do a lot better there.
Yeah.
Road signs, one aspect of it. Public announcements, another aspect of it. So how do we understand the context of the population with whom we are addressing our communication to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I traveled almost most of the parts in India, and what I see commonly is you have preferences of languages which is put there.
Right.
So yeah, English being, because we had a long colonial rule. Because of that, I think perennially everybody has accepted English as part of their close language. Right. And then comes obviously my regional language and the second regional language, or the second preferred language. So then what I see is English being on top, and then your regional language, and then things fall across. Now, again, the scriptures and everything are so different.
Right.
Had I not known how to read and write English, at times in places I will not be able to even understand what it is written. Right. And as you rightly said, the expectation is that whoever reads it will be able to understand and read it, but I might not belong to that area.
And
Correct? It is not my fault, it is not their fault.
Yeah.
It is nobody's fault.
Yeah.
But the main objective of putting a signboard and conveying the message is lost.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right?
And today, I mean, 100 years ago, maybe there was not so much of population exchange. But today, everybody's moving all over the place, and there is lots more.
Yes.
It's good in one way, because people understand, we become more, uh, you know, um, put together as a nation, right? So we understand each other's perspective. That's very good for nation building.
Yeah.
But this kind of simple stuff, of understanding what do you call high context and low context communication.
Yeah.
Low context communication is very critical because very simple. Something is on the right, it's on the right. Nothing is on the left, it is on the left. How do you
But how do you convey it in a different way? Yeah, so like same example, if you tell a German ride this way, he might not understand what I'm talking about.
So you try to go to a level where for sure he will understand that.
Yeah,
And that is what I think we need to do for the rest of the nation also, because we are also people.
Sure.
We are a wide variety of people.
Yeah, I think that is where I said, no, India has a platform where you will see very uncommon problems,
Right.
which rest of the world doesn't even know about.
Right.
One is this. And the other thing is like, we have been designed to live in chaos, work in better coherence in a chaos, and our designing also had been among all the confusion and all this what you were talking of, still we have managed to sustain.
Yeah.
And that is something which you should be proud of. And obviously there are scopes of refinement, there are scopes of improvement. Why not? We can definitely do better. But again, in that way, what we have done till now, and if you see our journey, I think it is one of the most remarkable one. If you see in a global scenario.
No doubts about it. Yeah. And the way I see is the scale of things in India is unbelievable. So I've been working for short time in Germany and a lot of years in Middle East. Again, water has been one of the areas. So where we saw some massive water projects, whether it is in UAE or Saudi Arabia or Egypt, Libya, these are massive water projects.
Yeah.
But they all actually, look very small in comparison to what's happening in Bombay or in the Kalishwaram lift irrigation projects. Yeah, the scale is very different. Yeah, and we have done it. Yeah, Bombay supplies water, 25 million people on a daily basis. Have you ever heard of some water problems in Bombay for the last 50 years instead of all the population changes?
Correct.
No,
not really.
Not really, right? So that's it's a different, and we are managing it, right? And so we have done it. We don't maybe talk about it enough, but there are fantastic things that India has done.
True.
Now, on the other hand, of course, we have also been neglecting a lot of things, right? And no doubts about it. Environmental impact. Let's go back to this topic about zero liquid discharge in industrial facilities. So that is something India is pioneering now. Yeah. So typically in every other or in most of the countries, you got an industrial development, and then you got very specific kind of discharge lines where you can discharge specific kind of liquids, and then you have a common effluent treatment plant where all of it is. So that gives them economies of scale and public infrastructure for handling effluents.
Right.
Now India, we didn't have that approach. We said every factory you better take care of your effluents yourself. Yeah, and you're not supposed to discharge any liquid.
Correct.
Right. So this has pushed us in a different level of technology development. So we are having membrane filtration systems. If you go back to our textile industries in the Tirupur belt or in Gujarat, we are looking at pretty sophisticated operations in effluent treatment, in water recycling, water reuse and all that. Yeah. Membrane applications, of course, we are getting membranes made in India as well as imported. Yeah. But the whole concept of utilizing technology to the ultimate, is happening in those zero liquid discharge facilities. Yeah, and we're talking about 1, 2, we're talking about 50, 100, 1,000 such facilities across the country. Yeah, and that is because of the NGT norms. So we have gone in one direction. Okay, whether it is good or bad, less efficient is an argument. Yeah,
Correct.
but for sure, there are certain things we're doing there which are technically very advanced.
Right.
And there's lots more things happening there. Now, is it cost competitive? No. Is it going to does it give us a competitive edge with respect to the rest of the world? Unfortunately, no, because each factory is supposed to manage it on their own. So there is a smaller economy of scale. So they will be under optimal in terms of.
Right.
So you can pull it together. We can be far more competitive in terms of the cost will come down. But then when we pull it together, how stringent are people in discharging the stuff into the common plant? Because the common treatment plants have also failed. Yeah, because people have not had the discipline in discharging the kind of stuff they should put in the correct network, or in the right dilution. So this has gone the other direction where we said, okay, each factory has to manage it on their own. Yeah,
True.
yeah, that's technology. Again, we are doing it, and we can give some good, stuff to the world. in optimizing those for smaller
Great.
water
There's no doubt
capacities.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. I think, but how like little bit personal maybe. How did you find interest in this segment? Because this is I'm not sure, or too limited to my information is, this is not a very general what do you say, education stream, that you just do an engineering, civil engineering, and will do it. Because this is a very niche area, right?
Yeah, I'm an electrical engineer. I'm an electrical electronics engineer. Not even civil.
But how did you find your or click your interest in this
So it's
segment?
always about, I started off as an automation engineer. So for us, it was applying technologies in different domains.
Mhm.
Yeah. So my career took me from industrial automation into process automation and into instrumentation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then somewhere along the line, I was doing instrumentation and process control for water infrastructure. So that got me very curious in what's happening, what happens in this water, because it is such a crucial part. Water, we are 75%, 80% water. You and I. True, very true here. We're taking it for granted, right? Absolutely. You're more water than anything else. Anything else, correct? Yeah. So that got me into the the area of corrosion in water, right? Corrosion engineering, a little bit of what happens, materials in water. Then somewhere along the line, I got into the area of water treatment itself. Yeah, and then luckily that company which gave me a chance to work in a variety of water applications, whether it is high purity water, ultra high purity water, kidney dialysis water.
Oh,
yeah, all water is there anyway. If you look back, it's there now. Water for semiconductors. Yeah, it's a semiconductor plant relies on water. Yeah, because if the ultra pure water is not there, your contamination levels goes up so high, you simply cannot produce quality chips anymore.
Okay.
So one of the most crucial parts of any semiconductor, and there's technology there, you have to master the technology in making sure you produce ultra high purity water. Because if you don't do that, then your lithography is of not much use.
Okay.
Right. So there's that element there, right? So there is that bit of it. So I had some exposure there also. Yeah. So, and of course, municipal infrastructure. Yeah. So water, wastewater treatment, and variety of technologies, whether it is physical, chemical, hybrid technologies, biological, biodegradation. Yeah. So that way, it was a good journey for me, for my career, to put my finger on variety of water treatment process. And then later on, I got into the chemicals business, to do with chemicals used in water, whether it is for high purity water or demineralized water. The earlier company which I was working for had a very interesting history. If I ask you a question, what do you think water has to do with railways? Yeah. So
it's only with the toilet and the washing, cleaning part.
So if you go back, we had steam engines.
Ah, yes.
And steam engines need water.
Yes.
And they have to be good quality water, because otherwise, so the water treatment actually for this demon started off with the steam engines. Okay.
Yeah.
And along the railway lines, these kind of plants were deployed in India. So there are interesting stories on water. Yeah, water is a fascinating field. Yeah. So when you get behind the why, peel the layers of the onion to go into the heart of it, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, in fact, if you see our history also, you see the Gangetic Plain, all the civilizations also started across the river. Water, so more fertile soil, and then irrigation and everything else.
That starts off. Yeah. So the annual flooding, and the sedimentation and there has been the pattern everywhere. Civilizations go back to water. They follow the water. True. Yeah. Now there are, of course, the other interesting projects where you really are bringing water to a place to start a civilization, right? That also happens.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So we have got areas in the world where that has happened. But there's more in the modern times, where you're able to divert river waters, or able to divert natural water facilities or underground water, bring it out to a new area and develop. Got stories. All of Northern Africa is full of stories like that.
Correct.
Massive.
Agreed.
Massive water projects. Yeah.
Agreed.
And these are unbelievable. You look at, they're really, how shall I say, landmark projects in terms of social development.
Yeah. I think in UPSCs they have case studies onto this. Yeah. They have 1 or 2 case studies how the socio-economical status of that particular population changed because of just water dynamics.
Sure.
So yeah,
And
that's
efficient use of water, I mean, in India, like I said, we are blessed with rainwater, so we take it for granted. So places like Israel or even the other Middle East countries, the amount of uh, the efficiency with which they use of water is unbelievable. Yeah. So I mean, you go back to aquaculture. Right? So you look about so the way if the metrics are like how many kilos of meat can you produce in 1 cubic meter of water? Simple. I mean, you got your that is a resource, right? It's like land,
correct.
right?
Correct.
So in aquaculture, you got a storage tank, a fish tank, right? And you're supposed to produce fish. Yeah. So
True.
it's
True.
how many kilograms of meats per year can you produce when you
Out
have
of
this
this,
much cubic meter of water?
right?
Right.
Right.
As simple as that. So Israelis are something like 15 times to 20 times better than India in that. 15, 20 times. I mean, look at the scale, right? They are 15% better. They are 15 times better. Yeah. In terms of, so uh, the need has pushed them into that area where they have got a limited footprint to work with. The country is small. There's very little water. Yet they have a population they have to produce.
Correct.
And they manage to do it. So whether it is, and that again is high technology because you're talking about the quality of the water. You need to have the right nutrients in the water. You have to the fish are all in a smaller place, high density, so there's a lot of waste also the fish produce that you have to take it out from the water. So it's a constant filtration system. We have to refresh the water, push it back. Heavy engineering stuff, yeah, to do with all sorts of water treatment.
No, I think when you have a scarcity of a particular resource,
Right.
you manage it better,
Yeah.
or you make an effort to manage it better.
Right.
So I'll say if I been to Singapore, and there it was like claimed any water across the road or
Right.
tap water in a public place, it is safe to drink.
Yeah.
If you find any fault, the municipality will be fined of that particular area who is maintaining that. And I could not believe it until I tried myself, and it was like perfect.
Right.
Similarly, in Germany, Germany, it was like, you can take the tap water of your toilet.
Right.
And it is as good as drinking water.
Right.
You don't have extra. Oh, obviously, you can go and few euros if you give, you get a bottle of drinking water. But now, see, these people, I don't know, these countries are not so lucky to have so many rivers. Right? But if you see in India, we are fortunate to have such huge across the pan India landscape. We have such great rivers are there. Still, I don't see we are a very good manager of water. What you are mentioning, right?
Yeah, we take it for granted. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true. And I think if that's one area that is an opportunity for us, right? So the minute we able to master that, then it has got an impact the way India will be on the social order in the world in terms of economic development, in terms of health, in terms of gross export and stuff like that.
Right.
Because water is just not water for drinking and consumption, it's a transportation mechanism also. So the waterway using rivers for transportation is one of the cheapest in the world.
Correct.
Right. So it's even cheaper than rail transportation. So if you're able to develop it to that point, excellent. Then we are able to leverage that also in the nation building process. So we have not, in India, we have not done it so far.
No, I see. I think we have not done it so far. But again, before we almost conclude our conversation, so maybe from an individual perspective, what all maybe 2 or 3 points what you can suggest that everyone should take? First of all, conservation of water is very important.
Sure. I think first of all, to be much more conscious of water, right? So the minute you realize that you are 80% water, right?
Yeah.
That's the first step, right? It is number one. You have to be aware of that. Yeah. Number two, when it comes to conservation, in most societies now, when there's so many developments there, the design of the water recycling system, right, which circulates back in flush water. I think I don't know, in every major city now, flush water recycling has become more or less common topic now. So I think it's every individual has to make sure that their water closets, the cisterns, don't leak. Yeah, because it's a very simple problem to be aware of, but it has got very serious consequences in the design of the STP down below. Yeah, and the quality of water which comes back to you for flushing.
Yes.
So if your cisterns are having a trickling leak, which you don't watch out for, because it is recycled water, you just let it go.
Correct.
Yeah, but that has got a dramatic consequence in the way the STP will work, and the quality of the fresh water comes back to you. Right. So that is something which every individual has to watch out for. Yeah. that's at a very micro level on something actionable, right? Of course, there are other things like, don't leave the tap running when you're brushing your teeth. All that is all known. Yeah, it's all known stuff. People follow it. People, I think we are getting there now. Yeah. And I think from a conscious perspective, if you go back to um, how we imitate habits, consumption, right? So any toothpaste ad will show you, applying the toothpaste on the whole brush. Yeah. But a pea-sized piece is enough.
Correct.
For you. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So there are, economic and marketing stuff that kind of force you to put. Likewise, on the water use, when you're washing vegetables, there are a lot of ways in which you can save water. Right. Which we don't do it because we not even imagined that we could do it in a different way.
True.
Yeah. You can fill a 2 vessels with water, dip, coarse wash, fine wash, and take off, and you just use 2 vessels of water rather than 15 minutes of washing vegetables under a tap running water, which might consume 5-6 times the amount of water. Right? There are different ways in which you can do it, provided we consciously are looking for those opportunities. I think everybody will have use cases in their lives.
Correct.
Where they will find a way to minimize the water use. Or optimize it. Not minimize, right? Yeah.
Optimize it. Yeah.
Right?
Even I have complaints with this water purifiers.
Right.
These ROs.
Mhm.
So they give you drinking water.
Right.
The other pipe constantly runs out lot of water. And I'm literally in a setup like in a flat systems in India.
Right.
It's very difficult to recycle that water because it's a continuous flow of water. So I am literally finding these days, that's a huge amount of water that's going just out of the drain.
So the nameplate of the purifier would say they have 30% recovery of water. So for every 1 glass of water you produce, they waste 3 glasses. That's what the nameplate would say, right? If the system was working optimally. But you should once in a while measure it and see what actually is happening, right? Number one, because that's one part of it. Okay, this next bit of it is, even if you recover that water, right, what can you use it for? Right? This is next question, because that is going to be water that is concentrated in its contaminants, because you are taking fresh water out.
True.
So if you are getting a water quality of, let's say, 1000 TDS coming, 1000 TDS is total dissolved solids, parts per million. So 1000 ppm TDS in your raw water source, you get 100 out in your drinking water.
Yeah.
The rest of the 900 is going into the so it's going to be double the but if you say I'm using it as 1/3, so it's from 1000 to it goes 1300, for example. So where can you use that water? Obviously it has got more salts in it. So the uses are, okay, of course, you've got a garden in your balcony. Perfect. You can use for it. If you're using it for cleaning your house, watch out for it, because you're going to have stains. Because there is going to be calcium, magnesium salts in it. This is going to, so you need to think about it. But the next question is, do we need an RO system at all? That's the next factor. So there are other technologies which give you safe drinking water with the we remove bacteria and viruses to a large extent, and it is safe enough to drink. But it doesn't reduce the TDS so much. So the water quality is reasonably good in your facility. You've got 600 TDS coming in, perfect. You don't need an RO system at all. You just need a filtration system, and a microfilter that removes bacteria to drink. So those are the aspects you have to think about. So I mean, RO for drinking water, there are a lot of debates about whether it's good, bad, all that. That's another area.
That's a perennial debate now.
But then there are studies which show it's absolutely okay to drink. There are studies which shows it's not okay to drink, and the truth lies somewhere in between, I guess. But it is not, conclusively in any one direction.
True. And despite that also, every house has a RO.
So for us, it's more about removal bacteria of water. That is what we are worried about, because that is the concern, not tedious so much to say, but the bacterial contamination is what we want to remove. And of course, these days there are other stuff coming in, right? We talk about forever chemicals, PFAS and stuff like that. Microplastics. That's the topic of another conversation.
I think that's true. But even the present ROs are not capable to handle that also. To by and large,
right?
Most of the ROs are just doing their job very plain and simple.
Right.
They're not doing it. So that doesn't make any sense. Microplastics have become a huge concern, and I think going forward with more plastics in our day-to-day life, they're going to be more serious concern. That's how it is. I think we have understood about the designing of water systems, the sewer, the roadways. We talked about how Roman used to think, how present day engineers think before they design, and then the special cases maybe due to natural calamities and smart city development. So we have encountered, or we have maneuvered very nicely. Thank you for all the inputs you gave. And I believe, if somebody sees this, watches this podcast, they would at least try from an individual perspective to save at least one drop of water.
Absolutely, yes. They
And
should.
that one drop can cumulatively change a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right?
So 1.4 billion drops potentially.
Yeah, that's what. And so I always think, if you start from home, you carry it forward to your office, you take it forward to the society, and then that keeps
Right.
on cumulatively, showing impacts. But yes, if I stop a leaking tap in my house, I might be having some peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Right?
Good. Thank you so much. Yeah, was
So,
wonderful talking. Yeah.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure, and giving all these fresh perspectives, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.